On a freezing winter night in New York City, 19-year-old Kiki Anderson, a hardworking food delivery rider, pedals through icy streets on her battered secondhand bike. Every breath burns her lungs. Every turn of the wheels is survival. Her last order of the night means one more night of rent at her rundown boarding house. But as she passes a dim bus stop, she notices an old man, Robert De Niro, shivering alone under the flickering light. For a moment, she hesitates. Helping him might cost her job. But her mother's voice echoes in her memory. If you ever see someone alone, you stop. Kiki tries to ignore him, but guilt eats at her. Moments later, she turns her bike around and approaches the frail stranger. The old man, Robert, seems lost and confused, mumbling about missing his bus to Willow End. Realizing no one else will stop, Kiki wraps her scarf around his neck and decides to help him home. It's a dangerous choice, cold, late, and costly, but compassion outweighs consequence. She helps him onto the back of her bike and begins pedaling through the snow. That single act of kindness, she doesn't yet know, will change both their lives forever. Snow whips against her face as Kiki pedals through the freezing wind. Her legs ache, her hands tremble, but she keeps going. Robert speaks in broken fragments about his late wife, his daughter, and the silence that comes with old age. She listens, finding echoes of her own pain in his words. They share laughter when she buys him a hot chocolate with her last coins, and he insists she take the first sip. The simple warmth of that moment melts through the night's cruelty. When they finally reach his neighborhood, exhaustion fades into quiet relief. At a mansion on the edge of town, they stop at a white gate dusted with snow. The porch light flickers on, and a caretaker, Tom Hanks, bursts through the door shocked. "Mr. Layton, we've been looking for you." Robert smiles faintly and says, "Went for a ride." Kiki shakes her head with a shy grin, refusing their offer to come inside. She scribbles her phone number on an old receipt and hands it to him. "In case you need help again." Robert takes it with trembling hands, his eyes soft with gratitude. Kiki rides away into the frozen night, unaware she's just saved a billionaire. Back in the city, Keek's world unravels. Her landlord locks her out for being late on rent, her belongings dumped in the snow. Minutes later, her manager fires her over the phone for missing the last delivery. Standing alone in the cold, she whispers to herself, "You did the right thing." But the world doesn't reward kindness. It punishes it. Shivering, hungry, and jobless, Kiki pushes her bike through the dark streets, unaware that the life she lost tonight is making room for something greater. Kiki finds shelter in a small convenience store that is still open late. The kind owner, Morgan Freeman, lets her warm up and even offers her a small job stacking shelves. But his assistant, Miles Teller, watches her with suspicion. When the register comes up short, Miles accuses her of stealing. Kiki protests through tears, but Miles doesn't listen. Just as he's about to call the police, Morgan checks the backup camera and catches Miles himself taking the cash. Furious, Morgan fires him and tells Kiki she can stay the night in the back room. Exhausted and shaking, Kiki finally falls asleep, safe for the first time in days. The next morning, a sleek black car pulls up outside the store. A tall man in a dark coat, John Krasinski, steps out asking for Kiki Anderson. He introduces himself as an assistant to Robert Layton, the old man she rescued. "Mr. Layton remembers everything," he says warmly. "He wants to thank you in person." Shocked, Kiki follows him to a white mansion surrounded by pines. Robert greets her at the door, now alert and healthy. "You didn't just bring me home," he tells her, "you brought me back to life." He offers her food, shelter, and a place to stay. In the weeks that follow, Kiki helps Robert manage his letters, organize his office, and share conversations over tea. She learns about his late wife, his lost daughter, and the fortune he no longer cares about. Moved by Keek's selflessness, Robert decides to start the Maple Life Foundation, a charity for struggling youth. He insists that Kiki becomes his partner and promises to sponsor her college education. Slowly, she finds peace in a home filled with warmth, learning, and purpose. The girl who once slept on the floor of a convenience store now helps change lives. News of Kiki living with the billionaire spreads like wildfire. Local headlines twist the story. Street girl becomes billionaire's protege. Social media erupts. Some hail her as a hero. Others call her a gold digger. Among the loudest voices of hate is Miles Teller, the fired assistant, who starts posting lies online, accusing her of manipulation. The attacks sting, but Robert stands firm beside her. The truth doesn't need to shout, he says. With his faith and her resilience, Kiki learns that reputation can be destroyed overnight, but character can't. Months later, the Maple Light Foundation launched publicly. Cameras flash as Robert Layton and Kiki Anderson take the stage. In front of hundreds, Robert shares their story, how one act of kindness on a cold night restored his faith in humanity. The crowd erupts in applause as Kiki, once homeless, stands tall beside him, a symbol of compassion and courage. That night, as snow begins to fall again, Kiki looks up at the sky and whispers, "Worth it." Her story becomes legend, a reminder that one warm heart can still light up the coldest world.